All right, we're recording. Sounds
Okay, game
great.
on.
Oh, game on, and everybody is good here. Yes, sir. What's going on? It's that guy, and today we're with Elliot Locke, Mr. Dreads UK himself.
How's it going?
It's going great, man. How's it going with you?
All good. All good in the world of UK dreadlocks.
Yeah,
See, I've got mine in right now.
you haven't got your
Um,
locks in right now?
no, not right now. I had them right up until the point I got married,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I couldn't find anything that went with them with the style that I had for my wedding photos,
Okay, okay.
which were obviously going to be with us for a long time. So I thought, you know what, I've got to get this right. So I made the painful decision to cut my dreadlocks for the sake of my wedding photos.
Wow, that's crazy. I had
Yeah.
a similar story this week with somebody else that was doing a wedding. They're a groomsman, and they said that they had to. They were free forming their dreadlocks, but he said he had to twist them or maintain them for the day because he didn't want to do bad on the bride because he wanted the wedding photos to be not messy hair. So,
This is
you
this
know,
is it. This is it. Because the thing is like you either go everything that matches the dreads, or
mhm,
the dread. You know, it's one way or the other, really. So, and
yeah,
also like, I mean, if I had like, because I've got obviously, make and sell simps and extensions and stuff,
right.
which are that very sort of smart, uniform, very clean cut look, which
Hmm.
would have worked, but my dreadlocks were kind of really natural, natty, organic, like,
Right.
so it just wouldn't carry off of a suit.
That's crazy. Well, you mentioned actually you wanted to do a bit of a catch up, and
Yes.
for those of you that don't know Elliot here, he runs the website Dreads UK,
That's-
pretty well known in Europe. And well, I could imagine anybody that has searched the term dreadlock has come across your website at some point or another. But in terms of catching up, I feel like where did we leave off last time?
So we were talking about social media,
Hmm.
and I suppose how kind of different platforms have operated and how that's changed, particularly in sort of the dreadlock community, and how you get sort of different, I suppose, dreadlock personalities, if I can use that term, if it's not too cringy, um, and how it's sort of, there's sort of seasons where, certainly for Dreads UK, we had like a season where it sort of went viral, and then it very quickly dropped off again on the Facebook platform when they
Yeah.
changed their algorithms, and then we saw the same thing happening with YouTube, um, and so yeah, I think that was the last thing we were talking about. I can't remember if we got onto the whole sort of politics of like cultural appropriation or stuff. Did we? I can't remember. Did we touch on that
Not
bit?
not a whole lot, no. I think we were more
No.
so on social media side of things. This was around the time when I released a video on quitting dreadlocks. And it was a more so um, my feelings of just how I've noticed a channel with numerous amount of growth that doesn't get as much feedback as you would think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then you were similarly saying you had the same experience, but over on Facebook. So we
Mhm.
both had like a page with 100,000 people, but the reactions and the audience engagement was far lower than what you would imagine would be with such an audience.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Um,
funny. I was watching. There's a documentary actually on Netflix, that's talking about like social media and how it's sort of geared. The algorithms are geared to sort of keep you engaged.
mhm.
And I suppose, um, perhaps, where they're sort of kind of get trying to get a profile on each user, and what and how those algorithms respond and react to certain, what's the word, certain engagement. So if a person is engaging on the platform in a particular way, say for example they're constantly online, they're engaging with people and commenting lots and stuff,
Mhm.
and perhaps that triggers a certain eventuality that makes the robots or algorithms on the other end say, okay, well, we're going to change what we show that person, or we're going to change how much they're seen, or so there's lots of sort of scientific methods behind how it works. I don't know the answers of what,
Yeah,
how that works, but I mean they've certainly changed something, and it's changed it for everyone.
I know what you mean, and I do try to watch other channels that are growing, that are being recommended to me. I noticed an influx of new creators, dreadtubers, if you will, that are creating content and are getting the views that, you know, I guess should be there. Personally, I feel like my channel is under close radar and scrutiny of an employee at YouTube, because you know how they say manual reviews to check for monetization.
Right.
I feel like because of I have made the cultural choice to include cannabis in my channel, and I feel like because of that, there is some scrutiny behind the algorithms going towards my show.
I guess there's a lot of sort of different things we can speculate on based on, I guess, what's popular, you know, societally, and kind of what's, I suppose, family friendly, particularly if they've added that button that says, you know, is this made for kids?
Yes,
you know, they're sort of trying to hone in on that, because there's a lot of kids channels, isn't there, that sort of got millions of views and stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. Nowadays, YouTube is kids watching it mainly. Like that is the audience. So, yeah, they have to definitely be more precise on what kind of content is being targeted towards the kids.
Do you know, I was chatting to another YouTuber the other day, actually. I watch a lot of tech channels. So, you know, like Google Tech and all this kind of stuff. I love tech, like being a music producer. I'm really into music and production and stuff. Anyway, I was checking out this other guy, and I was chatting with him. His channel's doing really well. I think he's sort of past 100,000 now, and he posted something about how the beautiful people always get the likes. And it's funny. So it opened up, So it opened up this huge discussion of how, like, you know, I think for us guys who, not you personally, but certainly for me, it's difficult when I see all these beautiful people and their channels do so well, and I'm thinking, you know, I've really got to work hard to build my channel up, whereas all those beautiful people, you know, they just get it because they're gorgeous looking, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before, for sure.
Like, so, Instagram is just dominated, eh?
Yeah, Instagram for sure is like that, and you can see the difference between people that get their attention just because of their looks and not because of their content relatively. I feel like it transcribes towards different platforms, because they might be big on Instagram, but then when you go to their YouTube, there's nothing there. There's nobody, but they're making the content. Yeah. So in terms of dreadlocks, though, I do have some questions regarding, you know, the stuff that you do, the shop that you have. I'm just curious, like, how is everything going over there with your e-commerce during COVID and not really
on lockdown and stuff? Yeah. I suppose where people are indoors a lot, I mean, you know, people are shopping online a lot more. You know, rather than going out and sort of mixing stuff, particularly people that are sort of worried. A lot of people are worried about, you know, how going to the shop is going to affect them, and so that's changed their buying habits. So I suppose that's sort of had an impact on it. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find ways to create jobs for people at the moment. So there's this group on Facebook called the Fun Employed, right? It's basically people that work on, I don't know if it's just the UK, but like the UK festival scene. So a bunch of guys that have, you know, friends that I've traveled with when we were living in buses doing convoys and stuff.
Okay.
And so they work in the mainly sort of creative arts type things, like art installations for festivals, you know, creating big sculptures and stuff. And obviously the event scene has sort of, you know, shut down massively because of COVID and stuff. It means that a lot of these guys are out of work. So I'm trying to find ways to use Dreads UK as a tool to create jobs for people.
Oh, interesting.
So they can earn some money at home still. You know, which obviously, you know, would pay for me, because obviously if people are selling my products, then obviously I make some money on it. But I'm trying to, you know, I'm not under no illusion about that, and sort of wanting to be forthcoming. But at the same time, it's like I'm trying to make it serve people as well, you know. I mean, it was always designed as a community project. It was never intended to be a business. It just sort of up this way. I mean, that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah, crazy.
But it was was initially just a community project to bring people together, and then as the community, we developed the products and yeah.
Yeah, and what would you say is your best product on your website that people tend to flock to the most?
Oh man, I mean, the first product we ever had was the original formula dreadlock shampoo. So that's, I mean, that's a pretty good one. That's always, you know, that's definitely up there. But then with the Nag Champa, so we obviously started putting fragrances in the shampoo as well, because people saying like, you know, it'd be good to have some smell to it. So we worked with a fragrance analyst to develop that Nag Champa smell, because we'd sort of tested the market for, you know, different, you know, smelling all the different versions of Nag Champa that people got out there, and we just thought, you know what, none of these really invoke that kind of raw, earthy sense that you get when you burn Nag Champa, and we wanted that. We wanted to get that experience of the smell. And so we went to this fragrance analyst, said, look, you know, we can do better than this. So we sort of discussed about how we wanted to get them woody tones in there, that you know, that we're trying to replicate that to sort of give that earthy tone on top of those sort of top notes and stuff. And eventually we just nailed it. And so we started putting that in the shampoo and people going crazy. And then we started selling it as a pure fragrance oil, so people would just put it in anything. So you can have it in your bath, in your massage oil, in your whatever product. Whatever you wanted to do to it, or to put it in an oil burner. And so then we changed the packaging, so it was off the market for ages, and now we've brought it back. Everyone's like, wow, I've been waiting so long for this. So that's so I'd say, yeah, either the shampoo or that Nag Champa fragrance, people just absolutely go nuts for. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's pretty sick. And how do you find having an e-commerce website with dreads? Like, is it a really big niche, do you find, or?
I wouldn't say so, really. I mean, it's funny because when you look at social media and the engagement that you get on posts, like particularly if you've got like, you know, like a super hot model with dreadlocks on Instagram, and you know their profile goes crazy with all these follows and stuff. That shows a particular picture of the dreadlocks community. But in terms of you know, people buying and selling and stuff, I don't know. I don't think it's that massive, really. I mean, comparatively, you know, I'm not really doing much different than minimum wage here in the UK. You know, so if that, I don't know if that helps, if that sort of paints the picture enough. But I mean, you know, I have a second job, so it's not just this. This is, you know, this is my passion. You know, it's been my life. But like I say, it was never intended to be a business. It was always a community project. And I mean, now it's that like everything that I've done with Dreads UK has all been pointing to this single point, which is actually very close in the future. I've been working on this documentary, which is going through commissioning at the moment. So we've got an awesome team of BBC staff working with us now. And so it's going through commissioning, and that's sort of the point that we were going for. And the whole purpose of the documentary was to break down the societal barriers that have been erected between races, between communities, to try and bring people together. It's always been about bringing people together. So yeah, that's kind of where it's going, really.
Okay. In regards to dreadlocks, are you ever going to get yours put back in?
Oh, absolutely. I'll put them in all the time. Yeah, I've got my array of different colours and stuff. It's like, you know, it depends what the weather's doing. Yeah.
Right. And how long would those last if you put some of those in?
Yeah. So I mean, most people can't tell the difference between human and synthetic, because the synthetic ones, you know, that they're designed to behave exactly like human hair does, except for the fact you can't dye it.
Yeah.
So you know, they'll mature over time. They'll develop, you know, sort of curls and things. You know, if you sort of sleep on them, they get kinks and stuff. If you know, sort of matures in that way. But you can either install them temporarily, so you braid them in, or if you, in fact, I'll show you. So obviously on the end you've got like a loop.
Yeah.
So you put your hair through the loop and then braid it down, and then fix it in place with a rubber band. Alternatively, literally just snip the loop, and then you'd crochet it in like you would with any other extension, so it can fix in permanently.
Right.
So it's either option really, but I think because where it's synthetic hair, there's such a low cost option that it's really sort of budget friendly for anyone sort of wanting to start out dreadlocks and not want to wait for their hair to grow so long. And it just helps, I suppose, you know, to help, like when you've made your sections and you put your extensions in, it adds that bit of weight to that section. So as the locks are growing out, it's maintaining that sort of uniform growth. So they're not, it helps with the issue of congoing, with not having to rip them apart so much. You're not breaking as much hair as they're growing. It's also, you know, when it comes to palm rolling and stuff, it all sort of aids that process really.
So have you always worn the synthetic locks in your past, or you've had some?
No, I only just started after I got married because I cut my dreads out.
Right.
I mean, I had 3 sets of dreads before I started using synthetics, so I've gone through. The first time I had them was complete neglect method. No, actually, tell a lie. The first time wasn't neglect. The first time was an atrocious mess. I was working at Tony and Guy. Actually, it's like this. I don't know if you guys have it over in the States.
No.
Yeah, so Tony and Guy is like this chain hair salon where I went and did an apprenticeship when I was 17, 18. And I was doing like this. What do they call it? An apprenticeship thing, program thing. Basically, 1 day a week you go to college, and then you do the course and stuff. And there was one other guy on the course. The rest were all girls. So me and this dude just sort of inevitably became friends. And I was like, dude, like the whole purpose of me coming on this course was to learn about dreads and stuff, because back then no one knew anything, and so all you had was rumors back then. So the rumor was you just cake your head in wax. So we got these tubs of wax and we're just scooping it out, like just putting it everywhere, trying to mold it. And it was just, I remember going to bed that night and just my forehead was just slick, and like the pillow was ruined. And so yeah, that was my first set. Yeah, my second set was then neglect.
Well, what year was that first set?
That first set I was 17, man. So that was like I think around, and what we went now 2000. Yeah, so that'd be 1999 or 2000. No, because that was 16. So yeah, 2000.
Early 2000s, yeah. And there was no information on the internet regarding dreadlocks. I remember, looking as late as 2008 for information on dreadlocks, and it was hard to come by. And any information that was there was trying to be sold. So nothing was being given for free like it is now. And I just remembered hearing the same rumors, you know, beeswax to get your hair done, and palm rolling, and then rubber bands. So similarly, my first journey into dreadlocks was very much the same, where I used a bunch of beeswax and rubber bands, and I caked it in there. And I lasted maybe 4 days with it in before I decided, like, someone had told me that it's not going to work. So I had given up, and I had to go with like another method that ultimately didn't work again. You know, so what was your second method that you went with?
So the second method, I can't remember how old I was at this point. I think I must have been 19. So it was like at least a couple of years later. And I was on the road, and I was living out of a tent at the time. So there's a long story behind it. Long story short, I didn't like the person I was becoming, just workaholic, you know. So I just walked away from it all, packed my bag of a tent and a guitar and hit the road busking and living out of a tent.
Oh, wow.
I met this girl on the road, and she had dreads, and that's that story. I was like, all right, go for it, crack on.
Yeah. And what did she do?
Sorry?
And what did she do to make locks?
So it was literally just rip and twist.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's this was no crochet back then either.
Yeah,
this was just rip and twist. So I look like Sideshow Bob. I've got a picture of it actually. I don't know if I can screen share it. I've probably got a picture somewhere. I'll try and find it while we're talking. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah, Sideshow Bob, man. Like literally, it was a boof-on.
No, I can believe it. And how long did they take to settle in, to twist and rip? 6 months.
I mean, most people would say time in that band. So that must have been. I probably had those for at least 6 years, 7
Wow,
years, I reckon. Yeah.
cool. And
And
I just want to ask, is your last name actually Locke?
it is, yeah. I know
Yeah.
you couldn't make it up, right?
I'm just clued in today. I'm like, wait, I think his name is actually Locke. It's amazing. I used to actually live on a street called Locke Street, and it was spelt the same way.
Oh, really?
I thought it was ironic because I do the dreadlock
No.
videos.
I was actually doing my ancestry and part of this documentary,
Hmm.
like tracing my roots and stuff, and I was curious about where the name Locke come from. And I've managed to get back to the 1600s. This guy called Robert Locke, who he was actually Captain Robert Locke, and he owned a ship called the Speedwell. So it sailed alongside the Mayflower. The Mayflower was the one that had all the controversy, but the Speedwell was they brought over the Quakers from England to the States. So my family were among some of the first people in the States.
It could have been. Have you ever heard of the town Hamilton, Ontario, in Canada?
No,
No? Okay,
no.
because there's a lot of, I guess, colonization that happened from Europe there. So a lot of it's named after English. And
Yeah.
maybe you're related to the lock that I was living on Lock Street, you know?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. All I know is it was down. They were escaping Britain to get away from religious persecution. That's as much of the story as I know.
Oh, and it's interesting you just brought up the Mayflower because literally on the weekend I was on a road trip from northern Canada and we drove by the spot where the Mayflower sank and is resting.
Right,
So I was reading
right.
the plaque and I was learning about the Mayflower ship. I'm like, oh, okay, this is where it is. It's laying in that lake right there. And then you just brought it up. Now it's just kind of a funny coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. I've been trying to track down that ship to get more information to obviously kind of try and find further back. But yeah, he bought the ship much later on after that season with it sailed with the Mayflower, and then he sold it onto the Navy later on, so he had it for a short stint. But yeah, I can't. I'm trying to. I've got the ship's log, so I know all the people that were on the ship, but it's got no information on him. Really frustrating.
I'm just looking up some Lock Street information now. Um,
Yeah.
what? So that was your second set, and then your third set
And then my
was.
third set was because I was really upset that I'd cut my dreads off.
Oh
So I was
yeah,
like, oh, literally 2 weeks later.
just went back at it.
Yeah, I remember getting my old dreads out and thinking, oh, I've got to find some way of getting them back in. And I remember because my hair was still sort of after a couple of weeks, I hadn't sort of shaved them off. I kind of cut them and stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think no, actually no, it was longer than 2 weeks because I remember I was on tour without them for a little while, and then yeah, so no, it was longer than 2 weeks. But I remember after 2 weeks being really upset about it and needing them and waiting to be able to get them back. And then I remember getting my old set out and trying to attach them, but again back then it was still all learning and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, I remember sort of attaching them in and just thinking, nah, just
It's not gonna
let them
work.
grow out. Yeah. And so that was a real process. That was the point where I sort of really started to explore a lot more into sort of different methods and stuff. Because I'd had loads of people over the years wanting dreads made, and sort of back then, like I say, with that girl that did my early set,
Yeah.
that was how you did it. That was how people got dreads. It was all word of mouth. So anyone says, "Oh, can I have dreads?" You're like, "Yeah, jump in,"
Well, what were some of the most absurd methods of rumored maintenance, like of rumored ways of getting dreadlocks that you remember from back in the day?
Yeah. I mean, I remember someone using candle wax,
Hmm.
put candle wax on the tips of the dreads, and then burning and singeing to sort of get the loose hairs sorted.
Hmm.
That was that salon in London that did that.
Oh wow, burning
Yeah.
the hair off. I have heard of this before. Um, yeah, the
I did
candle.
find out. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say the candle wax kind of falls into play with with beeswax. That
Yeah.
was probably the number one thing you would hear about you need to use. Um, I remember
And then
hearing people saying about urine. They're like, oh,
really,
if you use urine on your head, that it creates dreadlocks. And I never believed it. And
there's that sect of people called breatharians that believe that you drink urine and that you don't need anything else.
breatharians.
Breatharian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
are those the community of people that will they just live off of air,
yeah,
or is
yeah.
yeah,
And they drink pee-wee.
and they drink pee? I haven't
Yeah,
heard that part. I haven't heard that part of the breatharians.
yeah. There's this fellow in Brighton. So this fellow in Brighton, someone had edited this can of Murphy's beer and put Dave Murphy's pee-wee on it, and sort of,
Like a little joke.
yeah, because he was into all that. He was drinking his pee-wee, and
I don't know. I stumbled across somebody on YouTube one day. I was googling freeform dreadlocks, and this guy was using pee to make his dreads. And the funny part about it was that it wasn't working. His hair wasn't nearly close to being locked at all. And he's like, I was 6 months in. So I thought it was a joke at first, but then it turns out like he was actually serious about it. So that was just kind of mind-boggling that day.
it's like even in the dreadlock community, you get these sort of elitists that say, right, well, you've got to do it this way, or they're not real, or you've got to do it this way, or you're not honest, or you've got to do it this way, or and they want to say you've got to do it their way, or you're some negative. Do you know what I mean?
I like this topic of dreadlock elitists. Who would be these elites in the dreadlock
Do you
game?
know what? I'm not even gonna start that again.
The elites.
Touching that one. Yeah.
So with dreadlock extensions, regardless of the race who's wearing them, do you feel that synthetic dreadlocks appropriate the culture at all?
Which culture?
The culture of, I guess, dreads, like the culture of having dreadlocks.
How about the Egyptians that wore synthetic dreadlocks?
So
what culture are they?
is that what they were, synthetic dreadlocks back then?
Yeah. If you they've got wigs, haven't they?
Like the judges.
Or judges in Britain as well. They've got sort of synthetic wigs.
Okay.
If you look at the Pharaohs in Egypt, they wore synthetic wigs.
Okay, interesting. So I didn't know that actually that they were wigs, because I remember seeing in the depictions that there was locks in there. I had never thought that it was a wig that they have manufactured there.
Yeah, synthetic wigs.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just asking because some people might think that. I guess it comes down to the elitists that would say that, oh, somebody that put in synthetic dreadlocks versus somebody that's grown their dreadlocks from scratch, they might feel that they're not as worthy of the culture. They might feel that they've kind of cheated a bit to get there. So like this is kind of where the air is kind of smoky.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose if you're talking cross-cultural, then it would be very difficult to make that statement, purely because the only way that statement would be true is if you only had one single culture out of all the cultures around the world. If you took that one single culture and said, right, our culture is right and everyone else's is wrong, then you could make that statement. But you have to ignore everything else to be able to do that. I mean, if you look at Peruvian culture, for example, so the warriors in Peru, their dreadlocks were a sign of status and symbolism. Also, the priests and shamans as well had the same kind of thing. So these were obviously grown naturally and organically. Where if you lost in battle, you would cut off your dreads. So the longer the dreadlock, it was a sense of symbolism and status and power. So what you find is in Peru, they've got these mummies with dreadlocks. So it's literally just a head of these huge dreadlocks, and they put them up on spikes to show that they've defeated these strong warriors. And so in Peru, that would be that would be true. You've put in these fake dreadlocks, and you're not really a warrior. You could say that, but then if you compare that to, say, the pharaohs in Egypt, the synthetic wigs were a symbol of status there. They were a symbol of almost like a godlike divinity, like a divine presence, I should say. A lot of these pharaohs considered themselves gods in a sense. And so it was only them that would wear these synthetic, because they were very expensive. They were a commodity. And so in that culture, that's an ancient culture, it looks very different again. So like I say, you have to really sort of, distance yourself from every other culture to have such a narrow view on it.
For sure. And going back to these Peruvian warriors,
Mm.
and the locks that they were supporting, uh, were these like the ancient Egyptian ones, or were these guys growing the hair out?
No, no. So the ancient. I mean, there are mummies in Egypt with dreadlocks that are natural dreadlocks that aren't synthetic ones. So they
Mhm.
do exist. Um, that's still yet to be fully explored and unpacked. Again, it's sort of part of the documentary that we're working on. We not completed the project entirely, but the Peru section I can tell you a lot about because we've done that bit.
Yeah,
So obviously I'm not going to give everything away because we want to save some
for
stuff for the
sure,
documentary.
for sure.
But yeah. So sorry, what was the question again?
If they were sporting synthetic or real locks, and I
Oh
actually
yeah.
I
So,
actually remember seeing some Peruvian mummies that had more like the plica, where it was one big dreadlock that was really long.
yeah.
So maybe it was that they were
So
wearing.
the difficulty that you've got with determining the narrative of dreadlocks in Peru based solely on the mummies is the mummies in the cemeteries. So the Chowchian cemetery,
Hmm.
um, they're open cemeteries. So what that means is they're in the middle of a desert. They're not buried. They're in the open air. And so if you so horses, for example, so looking back at in the equine community, you've got horses with dreadlocks because they've developed because of the wind basically blowing and creating knots and things.
Hmm.
In the equine community, they call them wind knots.
Oh, okay.
Um, they would separate and stuff, so they
Interesting.
wouldn't clump up the horses. So if you look at the some of the mummies in Peru that are in these cemeteries, these open air cemeteries, they could very well just be wind knots created as a result of being in the open air. So if you were
Okay.
only dreadlocks in Peruvian culture from the perspective solely of mummies, it would be very difficult to distinguish the motive.
So you seem really up to date on the history of locks.
Mm-hmm.
Where, in your research, have you found that they originated? What's the earliest kind of era that you've come across of people rocking dreadlocks
Every culture, every
everywhere?
culture.
Yeah.
Every culture in the world, and they all have parallels. So they all have the fashion aspect, they all have the tribal warrior aspect,
Hmm.
and they all have the religious aspect.
Oh,
Three completely different, independent expressions of dreadlocks in all the cultures.
oh, crazy. I feel like, yeah, every. That's why I always felt that every human, is capable of growing dreadlocks. So when people date back to, oh, they only came from Egypt, or they only came from Africa, so only these specific entities can wear it. Like, it doesn't make any sense, because as long as humans have been existing, there's been locks existing, regardless of where
Mhm.
you are in the world,
Mhm.
especially before. I don't know what era it is, but I guess maybe it was Roman era when the brush was invented.
Mhm.
I'm not sure when it was invented, but yeah, before the hairbrush was invented, I would have guessed a lot more people were wearing locks than
Mhm.
not, right?
Yeah, well, the whole concept of braiding hair, so like the early Britons, sort of uh, prehistoric early Britons and Celts and Druids, they would braid their hair to stop it from locking up.
Hmm.
Like I say, because there weren't those hairbrushes, so they would braid it and have all these beautiful um, like knots and patterns and stuff,
Yeah.
which actually ties in with a lot of the history of dreadlocks in Britain as well. If you look at the elf locks and the culture of witch knots as well, a lot of
Oh, witch
pagan history.
knots.
Witch knots,
What
yeah.
is that about?
So if you look up knot magic, a lot of it sort of linked in with that. So if you look at
Oh,
basically in
yes,
Shakespeare,
yeah.
so in Shakespeare we've got the Romeo and Juliet story, and there's a lot of parallels that we can draw out from that as well. So when we look over the term elf locks, where it comes from and how it ties in, is actually there's a. I've got to be careful because I'm giving away so much of the documentary.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
okay. Like I said, we can edit and make sure we release it without. We're
well, I
not
haven't I
we're not
haven't said
streaming right
anything.
now.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you can put any of this up. There's a lot that I mean, I could talk all night. But I mean, this term elf-locks and witches and dreadlocks and stuff echoes not only in English culture but also in Spanish culture. We've got it there. I'm not going to. There's key points of information that I'm not going to say at this point because I want to save it for the documentary. But there are strong Spanish links throughout history with that as well. I'm really looking to. Honestly, I can't wait for this documentary to come out. Like I say, we're just going through commissioning at the moment to try and get everything commissioned. But
what does that mean, commissioned?
So basically, you're essentially going to a channel and saying, "Pay me to make a film." That's essentially what it is. So
like funding.
So they have a commissioning budget every year. They have to spend all that budget on programs to fill their yearly quota. Certainly where the BBC is concerned, and Channel 4 and all these different channels. And so they would have their yearly budget, and then they've got to spend that. But because of lockdown, there's been a backlog of shows. A lot of things have been cut, so they've got a lot of programs to fill. So where like the Olympics didn't happen, they've got to now make up hundreds of hours of footage of TV time. So the industry is crazy at the moment.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Is that thread that I see in the background on the table? Threading, like dreadlock thread, or is that where you make the extensions?
Oh yes, this is where I'm making the extensions here.
Okay.
My little work desk, yeah. And then once they're done and packaged, I'll just put them up there ready to go out.
Do you have any experience in wrapping dreadlocks in the colorful thread that you might see people binding?
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to do it because I don't think you need to. I guess for decoration,
yeah,
I think they look fantastic. I think they look great. I love it when people like get really creative and put all different colours and beads and different trinkets in and memories from people that they've met on the road and stuff like that. I used to have mine where I travelled around India, Nepal and Bangladesh, and I had my dreads over that season. All the different people I met would give me a gift, like a ring or something, and I'd put it all in my...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty creative.
Yeah, so yeah, I love all that. That was half the reason I wanted to keep them straight in uniform. Then it's a blank canvas.
And what was it like traveling in Bangladesh? You see a lot of dreadlocks out there?
I nearly got mugged. It's crazy.
You nearly got mugged?
Yeah. Oh, that was honestly crazy story. We'd just got back from the air. Well, we just landed in the airport in Dhaka, and there was me and 3 guys and a couple of girls. So there was a little group of us, and I'd just gone off to go to the toilet, and I left them with all the luggage and stuff. I said, right, I'll be back in a minute. So I've gone to the toilet. When I've come back, they've put all of our luggage into this one taxi. And they said, right, we get all the luggage is going in that one because there's so much of it. All the luggage is going in that one. We're going this one. I was like, what on earth are you thinking? No, that's not. I jumped in the taxi with all the luggage in it. I just started driving. So I thought, he must know where we're going. So I waved to him, said, right, see you in a bit. And I was going, stop. But the guy just carried on driving. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking, something's not right. So I looked at him, I said, can you stop? And he went, didn't speak any English. I had no idea what he was saying, but sort of laughed it off and carried on driving. And it was really weird. And I thought, so on the one side, my head was saying, he must know where we're going. Yeah, but why are your friends saying stop? Yeah, but there's no reason for him to just be driving. Yeah, but they said stop. So I've got this sort of like internal monologue going on. So I said to him again, can you stop? And he sort of laughed it off. And by this point, we were miles away. Because you sort of go through the process of what do I do next, and all the time he's driving, and eventually I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to just take control here because I don't know where he's taking me. I don't know I'm in a strange country. It just so happened that I had a knife in my bag. So I pulled the knife out of my bag, but I kept it concealed because the thing is, if I'm sort of showing the knife, that's provoking.
Right.
So I just kept it concealed for the worst possible scenario would happen. So I sort of slipped it in my pocket, but I gave him this sort of knowing look, as if to say, right, this, I'm taking over now. And I thought I'd give him one more chance. I said, right, you need to stop. And he didn't. So I was like, so I've ripped up the handbrake, right? So we're driving down this busy, I don't know if you know what the traffic's like in India.
Well, I've seen videos of it.
Yeah, so that, right, on this busy motorway, there's cars everywhere. I've ripped up this handbrake, kicked the door open, and he's still trying to brush it off, like laughing about it as if I'm playing along. And I'm like, no, mate, you're pulling over. So I've like grabbed the wheel and like yanked it and managed to get it over to the side of the road.
Oh, wow.
Just got all the luggage out, and literally within minutes of me stood there, I'm just swamped because I'm the only white person in the middle of this just crazy city. So I'm just surrounded by people all of a sudden with 6 people's luggage, no phone, no passport, and no money because it was all with the other guys.
Yeah.
At the airport, and honestly, it was crazy. I mean, there's a lot more to that story, but
oh my gosh, that's hairy situations right there.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught up in at strange times. Was it at nighttime too?
No, it was middle of the day.
It was middle of the day. Oh wow. Yeah, that's pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
But being out there, like, did you see a lot of the dreadlock culture active? Like, I know there's a lot of what are the guys called out there that have the locks? The sadhus?
Oh, sadhus, yeah.
Yeah, and they have jatas.
Yes, and the jata, how they call them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the sadhus are considered the holy men. So the qualification to become a holy man is you reject the modern society, the modern ways, the modern temptations, so to speak. And you would go out and you'd leave your family, you'd leave society and go out into the mountains and spend 30 years in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose just sort of contemplating and surviving.
Oh wow!
And then when you come, obviously, your hair's developed and it's naturally turned into dreads. So obviously, when you come back, you're then considered a holy man, and that's that.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that they continue to grow their jatas until their spiritual guru passes away, and then that's when they can cut them.
Okay.
But it's just something I've heard. But I find that their dreadlocks probably stand out the most to me out of any culture.
Yeah, it seems to be like particularly for us Westerners, that Indian dreadlock look is probably one of the most popular, I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
it's certainly adopted quite a lot, particularly when you consider the decoration and the things that kind of different people put in their hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sort of definitely sort of reminiscent of India and sort of very, I suppose, tribal, that sort of tribal thing, and South America as well. To India and South America,
mm-hmm.
like
nice. Yeah, there's a lot of actually, it's really cool that you know a lot about different cultures with locks. So I'm looking forward to this documentary that you are working on.
Yeah, well, pray for commissioning. That's really the key. I mean, even if we don't get commissioning, we're still gonna make it. Like I say, I've got a wicked team of BBC staff on board.
Oh, cool.
Or at least guys that were on staff at BBC, I should say. One of them's a freelance that still works for them.
Mm-hmm.
He's now started his own company, and the other guy just sort of intermittent. He's a freelance. So I think we'll still go for making it, and then try and hit up the film festivals, and then try and sell it to the channels instead of getting them to commission. But it just means that it will take a lot longer to get it finished and get out. Is all.
What on YouTube? What DreadTubers do you frequent? Do you frequently watch?
Do you know what I used to love watching all the different YouTubes and stuff. I just haven't had time. I've been like working on this documentary flat out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the research itself was, just a lot of work because there isn't the information out there available. So I've really had to dig. But yeah, I mean, in terms of who was it I used to watch? I quite like that Gunther the Great. He seems like a pretty nice dude.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well for himself, isn't he? And Christina, what's her surname? I forget her surname.
You talking about
Christina?
She's got a channel named Casually Christina.
That's it, yeah, Christina.
Christina Randall, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and she's
cool.
Yeah, she's not even really like a dread tuber per se, because she talks about more prison.
No, just everyday girl next door kind of dreads.
Yeah, she's one of those ones that got it because the looks. You know, her dreadlock followers all came because of the looks. I mean, that's why I ended up on her channel. um, yeah, so yeah, there's a few. I noticed there's a lot more people out there now that I'm trying to keep up with. The older guys that I remember, I was actually watching him yesterday. Damien Walters. Have you heard
Oh,
of?
Damien, yeah. I
Yeah,
spoke to Damien.
he's been on there since the beginning of time, and he's pretty inspiring to see how well he's done with
He's
dreadlocks.
particularly good as well because he's quite forward thinking. You know, you've got a lot of the YouTubers that I see. They're sort of regurgitating content, so they're regurgitating stuff that we already know. They're
Yeah.
regurgitating. Whereas Damien, he's really forward thinking. He's pushing those boundaries, and he's sort of trying to sort of venture into sort of new territory and stuff. So yeah, Damien's really good.
I've always remembered his channel since I can remember. Him and Zaylock, and there was a few other ones. Like I used to be a part of this group called Dreads. I can't even remember now. I can't even remember the name. It was right when I started my channel. I had won a contest to join these other dread tubers that were active at the time. But I none of them even YouTube anymore. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, Damien Walters definitely up there. Who else? I remember used to watch Gala April. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
But she's kind of dropped off.
Now.
She's what?
She's moved to the States now. She's settled down, got married, had a baby. She hasn't got her dreads anymore. She's cut them off.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that. Where these people go? Oh, she's changed her name on here.
Yeah.
She's now Anna Ollygood.
Yeah. Her new, all good. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, and these videos, it's funny. The videos that are popular on her channel, it's how to make dreadlocks, and it's like 3 million views from 11 years ago.
She was the one that. So if we look at the different sort of social media platforms, how they've changed, I found it really interesting to see the different personalities that pioneer those different channels. So if you look at YouTube, she really was the figurehead for dreadlocks in the YouTube era when YouTube became a platform for the dreadlock community.
Yeah,
she really spearheaded that
for sure.
And then Facebook, you had. I mean, we were quite fortunate on Facebook to be, to sort of be, I suppose, up there. I wouldn't say that we were necessarily spearheading it because there was another page actually called Dreads, just Dreads on its own. She did really well. Girl from Slovakia. Was it Slovakia? Yeah. So she had her page was even bigger than ours.
Oh wow.
And then obviously Facebook changed their algorithms, and then no one really bothered with Facebook after that, and it became Instagram. Now you've got there's a few Instagrammers that have been really good. But again, Instagram, it's really easy to change. Like people change their name quite a lot, don't they? So I think who's on there now. In fact, there was a Nicoletta Hansen. Do you remember? You know her, don't you?
Nicola Hansen. No.
Nicolette.
Oh, Nicolette. Yes. You know what? I do, and I was really excited to see that you interviewed her on your channel.
Yeah, she's cool. She hasn't got. She's taken her dreads out now.
Oh no, it's terrible.
That's for me.
But will she still marry me?
Maybe.
I've yet to ask her.
Maybe. You're not a bad looking dude, you know. I reckon
give it a shot.
I'll tell you who else is cool. So there's this girl called Amber Kia. So Amber she's a female footballer, and she's wicked. She's playing for one of the big teams in the UK.
What's her name?
Amber Kia.
Amber Kia.
And then
in the car. Oh wow, yeah, look at that. This is perfect because lately I've been thinking about focusing the channel more on females with dreads, just for whatever, even an indefinite amount of time, but just to even it out, because I noticed it ends up being a lot more males on my channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, her locks actually look really, really nice. They're super,
Yeah.
super thick as well. Wow,
Yeah, really good.
it's a good one. It's not many photos of her that I can find here, but oh, it's with two A's. That's why. What other what other women with dreadlocks would you suggest to check out?
I'm just thinking now. Millie Varda. So she's another one I interviewed as well for the channel. So she's written and published this book on sort of personal growth and development as well. So she's sort of been quite recognised for that.
How do I spell that?
Mili.
Oh, there it is, Milivada.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, so she's pretty cool. So she's got like, which is, I'd say it's really, really in at the moment, where you have like half a head of dreads. Some people I think are calling them like peekaboo dreads, where they have a few dreads sort of poking out and hide them under their hair. It seems to be the popular term that's developed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically like a few dreads underneath the hair and then having the regular hair on top. I think it's popular at the moment, it's particularly having like the fringe out. I think you guys call it bangs.
Yeah, bangs there.
Yeah, and so keeping that bit of the hair out and then having the rest in dreads looks really hot.
Yeah, it does. I've done my girlfriend's hair at the moment in just half of her sides I did dread, and then the other half is out. And it's funny because the one side with the locks is shrinking as they're maturing, but then her other side's growing, so her hair's kind of like going like this right now.
Yeah.
And I had told her about your products, the synthetic dreadlocks, if she ever wanted to even it out. Yeah. How did that video do? Oh, 600. I was looking at your video of the A to Z in dreadlocks. I thought that was pretty creative.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was right at the start of lockdown because everyone was, I don't know, I think everyone was just feeling really kind of cut off.
Yeah.
Hey, let's I'd seen a few videos circulating where, girls was getting that like makeup brush and then dropping it and someone else. I thought, I was trying to think of something else, where we could just sort of get everyone together. So yeah, A to Z of dreadlocks.
Yeah, that was fun. There's a lot of good names in there. Actually, I want to go back and double check.
Yeah, that took ages to put together. That was so much work.
Yeah, I could imagine a lot of organizing and getting clips sent over, and probably people with not even recording the parts that you're asking for, and you got to ask them again.
I think yours was definitely one of my favorite. Like, because you sent me a couple, and I couldn't pick which one to put up because it just your grin at the end just set me off every time.
What, my grin?
Yeah.
I gotta stand out.
I had like a whiteboard up on my wall, and I had like A, B, C, D, F, D, H, all listed out. And then I was contacting people, going, right, we've got F left, we've got B left, trying to just sort of organize. And then, some people wouldn't send the video in, so then I had to find someone else to fill that place, and it was just crazy. Yeah.
Oh, it's good efforts. Would you ever do something like that again?
No.
No.
No, that was too much.
How about another? Oh, you did in part 2 here. I'm seeing here your Story of Samson video is doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, the Dreadlock Origins series.
Yeah, that's a cool series there.
Yeah. So I was trying to get in like basically a lot of the research that was, that sort of led me to the documentary, making the documentary on different sections. So sort of that research has led me to the different people that we've interviewed, and sort of different. We've got sort of professors and archaeologists, and university professors. It's just great, but this was essentially the sort of research that springboarded those different areas. So I just thought, I don't have to put out the whole documentary, but I can at least say, look, here, this is what's going on. Because the conversation over cultural appropriation is just rife at the moment. And people, we're living in a time where there's so much anger and animosity between cultures and races.
Yeah, seriously.
People are calling out for transparency and balance, and so it made sense to just at the very least put these bits together and sort of give people equip people with enough information to get a bit of a clearer picture at least.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Can you hold that thought for 1 second there? I'll be right back.
So is it still live, is it?
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about your approach for getting guests, such as Nicoletta Depp, in terms of content.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've always just liked making friends with people, I suppose. I like making new friends all the time, and any opportunity to make a new friend. Why wouldn't you? So
yeah, true.
Where there's a mutual passion, like with dreadlocks, or people that, anyone that's got dreadlocks or wears dreadlocks are passionate about them because it's such a big commitment. And so it makes it really easy, I suppose, just to message and say, hey, how's it going? And, just strike up conversation, I suppose. So I just chat to people and as soon as an idea strikes or a moment hits, and I just say, oh, I wonder if they'd want to do it. And I just get chatting and just, just how do you fancy doing this? And sometimes they say no, and sometimes they say yes.
Cool. Yeah, it's inspiring. I want to try this a bit more. Especially how we're recording the Zoom right now. We'll get a good take on how the quality is. What program do you normally do the interviews on?
Yeah, so what did I do on? I think I did it mostly on Skype.
Oh yeah, it was Skype. And you can record on Skype, or you use another program?
Yeah, so I just used QuickTime and did a screen record.
Yeah, that was actually my other option. Oh, I was thinking about that one today, but yeah, Skype allows us to record, so we'll see how it goes.
I think this one's pretty good though, because at least with Zoom, it does that instant bounce, like when one person's talking, it sort of bumps the screen up and makes it bigger.
Yeah. So is that what's happening right now? Because on my screen, it's not doing that. But
no. Obviously, you'd have to have more than one person in there. Like so say for example, if we had like, if there was a few of us in here.
Yeah.
And we had like a bit of a group discussion or a debate or dialectics over a particular subject.
It cuts between different angles, different cameras.
I mean, that could be quite fun. We could get like, people on two sides of the coin that strongly oppose and have a discussion on something. That could be interesting.
All right, let's do that. Let's figure out some sort of guests we can get on here.
Yeah,
do some bigger Zoom calls.
See if we can find some people that are perhaps against particular, me having dreadlocks, for example. I don't know.
Yeah.
However you want to do it. I mean, you make quite a good host, so you could do it with anyone, couldn't you?
Yeah, really, we could. It's just a matter of doing it. So I think it's a great idea. Let's continue and try and get some more meetings going on here.
Just trying to find.
And I'm also going to be going through all of your videos on your YouTube channel, starting from your oldest one, and I'm just going to kind of watch everything because I just realized I haven't really watched everything on your channel yet. And I'm feeling like with this footage that we've gotten today, I'm going to try and take what I like from your channel and trying to overlay it and cut with this interview and trying to put up like a Dread review of Elliot Locke or something like that, because that hasn't been up on the internet yet.
Yeah.
So that's the way.
I've got some pictures here somewhere. I've just downloaded them.
Of your first set of the dreads there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have one real quick, you can do a share screen. I do have to go after that, but
yeah, I've got to go pretty quick as well because it's like 20 past 10.
So what part of England are you in?
So I am currently living near Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah.
Sort of more North England. Oh, that was oh my goodness, they are lovely. Do you know what? I've been trying everywhere to find to find my the original photo of this, which I hadn't edited with text over it. But this at least show you it. So here's my dreads when they're first
Oh,
made.
one second. Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
So
Crazy.
that's literally like Sideshow Bob, and then that was the picture next to it was when I was in India. I was chatting to one of the Indian sadhus actually, but
Crazy.
clipped out.
So these locks on the left came
Yeah.
from this on the right, which was beeswax only, or
No. So
twist and rip.
this next set they were the backcombed. No, they were just a rip and twist.
Yeah,
There
the
was
rip
no
and
crochet.
twist, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. And then how many years later was this after they matured?
To this, oh my goodness,
Three,
that
four
must.
years,
Yeah, they look about
four, even 5 years at that point.
4 or 5 years old, I reckon.
Cool. And what would you do to maintain those locks? The 5 years there.
I don't think I did anything with
You weren't
those
doing
ones.
anything, right? Just left them.
No. My hair's so curly, it goes into like little ringlets. I mean, you can
Yeah,
sort of
right.
see.
Oh, it's
So,
perfect for locks.
yeah, so I've never had to really do anything with it. I mean, with my following set, I used to then palm roll them quite a lot, which helped to keep a bit more of a uniform look. I'm probably gonna have to go.
Yeah, no problem, man.